with Syria, even though more than 400 people have been killed.
Gun to his head, and they say he deserved to be beat because he was white.
70 people are killed in bombings in Pakistan.
The young man picked individuals of non-Slavic appearance, beat and stabbed them.
Why is there so much evil in the world? Why, after thousands of years of human history, have we gotten no better at getting along with the people around us? Dr. Sheldon Solomon, professor of psychology at Skidmore College, believes he has the answers to these questions. Over the past 20 years, Dr. Solomon and his colleagues, Drs. Tom Pajinski and Jeff Greenberg, have been testing an idea called terror management theory. Their theory is based on the ideas of Ernest Becker, a cultural anthropologist whose interdisciplinary work on the psychology of evil earned him the Pulitzer Prize in 1974. Becker's central idea was that anxiety about death is the driving force of human behavior and the root cause of human conflict.
His argument very simply is that people are the only creatures that are smart enough to recognize that we're here. And if you know that you're here, you also realize that you won't always be around. And on top of that, we realize that we will die someday and that our deaths can occur at any time for reasons that we could never anticipate or control.
If that's all you thought about, I'm gonna die, I could walk outside and get stricken by a meteor, I'm meat with a beat, you would not be sitting here with any modicum of psychological equanimity. You would be a quivering blob of biological protoplasm cowering under the table, groping for a Valium the size of a Buick.
But we aren't, because, Becker claims, we engage in a collective conspiracy to stave off death anxiety called culture in an attempt to manufacture an alternative reality. Culture tells us where we came from, what to do while we're here, and what will happen when we die.
And Becker's point was that human beings construct cultural worldviews, beliefs that we share with other people in our groups that essentially give us a sense that we are individuals of value in a world of meaning, and that when we have those beliefs, when we confidently subscribe to a belief that we have meaning and value, that in turn gives us a sense that we can live forever, either literally in the context of different religions that provide the hope for an afterlife, or symbolically, just the idea that we may not be here forever, but that tangible representations of our culture will remain. If these ideas are correct, if we really do subscribe to our views about the nature of reality that culture gives us, in order to minimize concerns about death, then we're naturally going to have problems when we run into people that are different than ourselves. Because if we accept the validity of an alternative conception of reality, well, that undermines the confidence with which we subscribe to our own, and that in turn opens us up to the overwhelming terror that our beliefs were designed to reduce.
So how do we react to that terror? According to Becker, we react in three ways. The first is derogation.
No need for that, kind sir.
We have police officers and they have Mounties. Our cops ride heavily armored cars. They ride horses. We have bulletproof vests. They have wonderful little red jackets that can be seen a mile away. This is not a smart culture, Greg.
The second is conversion.
If it's just your belief, it's autism. If it's everyone's belief, it's culture. Confidence in our beliefs is by social consensus. So the more people that share our beliefs, the more confident we can be that they're correct. Well, next thing that we do, according to Becker, is to just annihilate those folks that are different, thus removing them from the face of the planet and confirming that our God and our vision of reality is the true one after all. My God is better than your God, and we will kick your ass to prove it.
Since the 1980s, Dr. Solomon and his terror management colleagues have conducted hundreds of experiments to explore death denial's role in social behavior. In one experiment, they asked a group of judges to set the bail amount for a woman charged with prostitution. Before doing so, all judges filled out a survey, but half of the judges had an extra question on theirs which reminded them of death. Even though both groups received the exact same case file, judges who had been reminded of death set the prostitute's bail 8 times higher than judges who had not. In a subsequent experiment, judges were asked to set the reward amount for a citizen whose tip had led to the capture of a robbery suspect. Judges who had been reminded of death set the reward amount twice as high as judges who had not. As Ernest Becker theorized, death anxiety is not only cause for in-group identification, but also for out-group exclusion. The experimental group of judges, whose job it is to be fair, were unknowingly swayed by death anxiety, granting excessive approval to conduct aligning with their culture of lawfulness, and excessive punishment for conduct contradicting it. In a similar experiment, the terror management team asked a group of participants to provide a taste test sample of hot sauce for an assigned partner of differing political ideology. Those with death reminders provided an average of twice as much hot sauce for their partners to choke down than those who did not receive death reminders. Again, as Ernest Becker theorized, death anxiety not only determines who is in the group, but also results in aggression toward those who aren't. Terror management theorists have also conducted their experiments outside of the lab, discovering that death reminders in the natural environment impact how we view those who are different than we are.
We've done some work in Germany where we interview people either in front of a funeral home or in front of a grocery store. And then we just ask them, how much do you hate foreigners? And in front of the funeral home, you hate foreigners more than in front of the grocery store.
Over 170,000 people die every day, and we are exposed to reminders of death all the time. But in the real world, we don't have bail to set or hot sauce to distribute. We have guns, missiles, and nuclear bombs to address conflict between our worldviews. So what do? Do we just resign ourselves to the fact that we'll forever try to kill each other and wait until we destroy ourselves? Is there any hope to fix this mess? We cannot overcome our death denial completely. We cannot survive without it. But perhaps by understanding how it works, we can minimize its negative effects in our daily lives. What if we exchanged religious and political fundamentalism for more tolerant, benevolent, and rational worldviews? What if we made the effort to acknowledge the effects of death denial on those who confront our worldviews, and took its irrational power into consideration while we formulated our responses? Ernest Becker never lived to pose a solution to the problem he identified, but by understanding the dynamics he discovered, perhaps we can be the start of the solution. Perhaps in this digital, connected age, we can contribute to a global culture of life.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow.